Hold on, I'm going to turn this volume up. All right, here we go. Motherfucker.
Should probably restart it, right?
That's what I'm trying to do. We'll just let it play through and then we'll play it one more time.
This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
And here we go.
This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
We're back.
We're back. Yes, in fact.
We are live.
Live.
Wonderful.
All right. Welcome in. This is episode 7. And we are covering running back rankings. We're going through
Dynasty.
Yeah, Dynasty running back rankings, probably anywhere from like the 30 to 50 range. As we get further down these lists, we're just kind of be flying through, the top 30 are definitely people we needed to talk about and dive into further detail. But these bottom ranked guys, there's really not much to say about them. They're ranked where they're ranked for a reason. So
yeah, I don't want to say like we're flying through, whereas we're going to be passing over guys because we still want you to get a thorough breakdown, but there's just not as much to talk about. There's not as much analysis. There's not as much game film. Maybe there's not as much of a role. So, it's just, like I said, not as much to talk about. So,
yeah, definitely still people that you should have on your radar and people that you're, put on your taxi squad and, keep on your bench just in case some stuff pops off. But, barring any injury, these guys aren't really going to be heavily involved at all.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Buckle up.
David Montgomery, ex-Bear, found a new home. I got him there at 30. You got him at 32. He's stepping into a role that saw a lot of red zone carries. He's still young, produced at a high level for the Bears. I'll let you talk about him more because you are the resident Bears guy.
Bear down. Yeah. To say he stepped in that role that was heavily involved in the red zone is an understatement, to my opinion. Jamal Williams almost led the league in touchdowns last year. He might have, actually. David Montgomery's 26 years old. He's 5'10", 222 pounds. He signed a 3-year deal worth $18 million, 11 of which are guaranteed. He's just been a top 24 running back in every season with the Bears, with averaging over 200 carries and 800 yards. It's not elite, but he's been in that RB2 range. He should get the goal line work and the short yardage for this Lions offense, who are projected to be the best in the division and be a playoff team. So, I think he's going to get a lot of scoring opportunities, and I see a big year coming from David Montgomery, and most likely the next 3 years, I think he's going to be heavily involved. That running back they drafted, Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't think he's really in contention to take over anything that David Montgomery provides. He'll be an auxiliary piece utilizing the passing game, and David's going to be the guy on the ground.
Yeah, I think Jahmyr Gibbs he's going to be the highest production running back there, but he's not going to take over. Montgomery's there for a reason. It's to pound the ball and going to get you touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the, biggest star on that offense next to Amon-Ra. And I think that happens this year. I think it happens early on. So, he's not going to be a featured back like he was for the Bears, but he's in an offense that has proven to have very good fantasy production for 2 running backs. As you said, Jamal Williams was had the most rushing touchdowns last year. So, and most red zone targets. Swift did get injured, but that's the role that David Montgomery is stepping into.
Yeah, absolutely. The next guy we want to talk about, we're both pretty high on. You have it at 31. I have him a little bit further down at 34. But I mean, we like Antonio Gibson, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've never always been a Gibson guy. I haven't.
Yeah.
I think this is the first year that I'm like very confident in his role. I think his role has increased, I think his role is going to increase. Brian Robinson is still right now the lead back. But I don't like Brian Robinson. I talk about that runner who just will get you the yards given to him, and that's about it. And he's, to me, that exact guy. So Gibson's athletic. Bieniemy's coming in to that offense. He likes to get creative. I think he's going to be the bright spot of that backfield.
Yeah, the new offensive scheme from Bieniemy should be much improved from last year. But Antonio is only 25 years old. I mean, he's pretty big. He's 6'2", 220 pounds. But this is his contract season. You know, he's going to be a free agent after this year. So, you know, Mike, you talk about being high on those guys. I think he's going to be really good. But, you know, 2 years ago was his best season as a runner. Ran the ball 258 times for over 1,000 yards, 4.02 yards per carry. So he's a good running back. And I think he's going to be heavily involved in the passing game. And he's just I think he is the best running back in that backfield.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, totally. I don't know how you feel about that. You right?
I totally agree. That's why I'm at 31. I mean,
yeah, he's a value.
I just think his role increases over the course of the year, and he's going to be the star back out of that backfield. I'm just not a believer in Robinson. When I stand firmly on guys, you see that in my rankings. That's why I have Gibson ahead of you. Even though you're originally the Gibson guy, I think there's a lot of value in him this year. And then I'm not a Robinson guy, so I go ahead and kick him down to my RB 42. So
yeah, I'm right there with you. I got him at 43.
Yeah, and then from here, you know, I have Madison at 32, and then I have a guy I want to talk about. You have Montgomery at 32, James Cook at 33, Antonio Gibson at 34, and then the guy we want to talk about next, that's Khalil Herbert. I want to talk about him and Roschon together, and I want you to talk about him. Okay. You know, you're the resident Bears guy, so go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, Mike, that's kind of you. Yeah, you know, Khalil Herbert's 25 years old, 5'9", 212 pounds, 2 years left on his rookie deal. Roschon Johnson's 22, 6 foot, 225. So he's bigger, kind of, you know, pretty significantly bigger than Khalil Herbert.
Hook him.
Hook him. But yeah, so, you know, this backfield's going to be crowded. You know, talking about how big those guys are, I think Deontay Foreman's even bigger. So I'm curious to see how this backfield shakes out.
Hook him.
Right off the bat, week one, I do think Khalil Herbert is going to be the lead back. He's going to be the starter, but he is not proven to be a competent receiver. But I mean, he's gotten 5 yards per carry through 2 seasons, so he's a decent runner, but I just don't think he's shown enough to really, you know, provide that he is the guy. That's kind of why they went out and got Deontay Foreman and why they drafted Roschon Johnson, who may have been the best value pick in that draft. So I think Khalil Herbert's a risky pick. I don't know. I'm not too big on him moving forward, and I am big on Roschon Johnson. I think by the end of the season, Roschon's going to show enough explosiveness to provide that he will be the lead guy next season in the 2024 season and for years to come. I think Roschon has enough of a skill set to be a 3-down workhorse. And I mean, it may be because I'm a homer, but I love Roschon Johnson this year. And I got him in a couple dynasty drafts. I mean, a couple we have together, we have him, you know, so I mean, I'm excited for Roschon.
Yeah. Hook 'em Longhorns. You got Roschon and Deonta, both Texas Longhorn guys.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that Deonta.
That's why I double hooked him. Yeah, that's why I double hooked him for you. So yeah, I mean, I like Roschon. He was in Bijan, who's obviously, I've said enough about him. He's been best running back in the NFL, and he hasn't done it. He hasn't even taken one snap yet. But so here's what I think about the Bears backfield. Herbert had his chance to kind of be a lead running back and didn't really do that. So I think that's why you bring in Roschon and Foreman here in the offseason, because Herbert's never going to be the, the main running back. He's going to be maybe a 50% split. I can see all three of them getting some work, and Roschon, proving himself in camp and taking out that secondary share. As you talked about throughout the season, maybe kind of overtake Herbert's role. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Herbert's going to get more than a 50% split in the backfield. He's just can't handle that volume as he showed late last season. So I think that's a good way to sum up that backfield.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. But moving on is someone who I'm pretty high on myself, James Conner. You have him at 34. I have him at 36, so we have him right in that mid-30 range. Arizona is not a good team right now. Arguably one of the worst. And their quarterback is a Colt McCoy, is a Clayton Tune. That's to be determined. But I know one thing for sure is they're going to be running the ball a lot. And James Conner is a beast. I mean, do you know how big James Conner is? This guy is 6'1", 233 pounds. It's massive.
Beefy, yeah.
He's 28 years old. He's got 2 years left on his contract with Arizona, so there is some stability there. I don't think they're going to release him or, go another way. There's the backfield behind him isn't too promising, so I think his job is pretty secure. But in the last 2 seasons with Arizona, he had 26 touchdowns and 83 receptions in 28 games. Like, he is elite even when it comes to receiving backs. So, his durability is the main concern. He has a hard time staying healthy, but he's a threat in the red zone, and he's a great running back.
Yeah, I will piggyback all those statements. I have him at 34, I think, because what he has to offer the next 2 years, as you talked about, is there's value there. So I don't have much else to say. He's cancer survivor. He's a beast. He's going to be out there, and he's going to be productive in a team that's really bad. That offense is going to be bad, I think, all season. I don't think you rush Kyler back because you start really bad under Tune, and then you have a chance to get Caleb or Marvin Harrison. And if you walk in next season with Marvin Harrison as one of your weapons for your franchise quarterback and Kyler, then you're a happy guy. So
yeah, absolutely. So moving on further down the list, let's see. I have James Conner at 36. I got Roschon at 37. And then I have someone that I want to talk about at 38. I got Rashad Penny. Mike, you have him all the way down at 50. The disrespect for Rashad Penny. He's 27, okay? He signed a 1-year deal with the Eagles. I kind of teased it before. I think he's going to be the featured back there. I think he's going to be not the featured back, but he's going to be between the tackles, the goal line back. He's going to be the running back you want to own on this Eagles team. But I understand the concerns. He's had the worst injury luck, I think, out of anybody. But the one thing is he seems to get injured a different way every time. He's not struggling through the same chronic condition. But he's averaging 5.7 on over 300 carries in the NFL. He's recently got surgery on his broken fibula, and that's from a defender landing awkwardly on his leg. So it's not like, he's cutting in and out and breaking stuff. But, he's expected to be full go in training camp this year. And I'm excited for him. I think he's going to be the guy to own.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you what a chronic condition is, right? Your delirium towards Rashad Penny. It's turning into a chronic condition. For you to say that he is going the running back to own in Philadelphia, to me, is asinine. Like, okay, that's fine. Just from a talent level, Swift is at a completely different level than Penny. Swift is by and large, to me, the running back to own. He's fits so well with the offense. Yeah, like I can see Penny, who's had success when handed the ball, do really well in this offense. Honestly, I think he's going to be a good piece as well, but he's going to be your Boston Scott, maybe a little bit better Boston Scott in this backfield. He's not going to have that opportunity. Gainwell's still a great piece in the offense. There's 3 guys in there. Penny's not going to be your guy to own by any means.
I don't know.
I don't see it
in the game the game he was in before he got injured in Seattle. He racked up 17 carries for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns, 8.8 yards per carry. In 2021, the last in 4 games where he played over 50% of snaps, he averaged 20 carries for 158 yards for a total of 6 touchdowns. Like he's a beast when he gets to work. And I personally think that, the Eagles went and got Rashad Penny first before they got DeAndre Swift. I think they plan on using Rashad Penny as the early down back and the goal line back. And, I think Swift is going to get worked in there, and so is Gainwell. But I mean, we will find out and we will see. But I'm taking my stance that I think Rashad Penny is the guy over there, and I think you'll see that pretty early on.
Okay, I think you're very wrong. We're gonna find out, and I love it. But yeah, I just don't see the Eagles have so many weapons. I just don't see him having a role where he's the guy to own. I think Swift fits perfectly in that offense. He's the Philly guy. Philly likes to, show out for their guys, and Swift, like Penny was the first guy that they went out and got, but they didn't expect for DeAndre Swift to be sitting at there and being able to pick him up at such a low value, which they did. He is just like a cherry on top. Like, holy shit, we just got to DeAndre Swift for a fucking box of balls. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, they both have a 1-year deal. So
right.
I would feel differently if they invested more in Swift than they did Penny, but their contracts are pretty similar for this year, and it's 1-year deal. It's a 1-year improve it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I can't wait. I can't wait to run these clips back after the season and just be like, you are so fucking wrong.
We're gonna have some fun with
Penny
that at the end
being
of the season.
the lead back. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm sure you're gonna give it to me, and I'm gonna give it right back to you. So we'll see what happens.
We're about to find out. So sitting there at 37. You have Penny at 38. I have AJ Dillon at 37. I mean, there's still a role for him, a pretty significant role for him in the Packers offense. They're going to be leaning on that backfield, as I talked about when we highlighted Jones. So, Dillon didn't really wow you like he was expecting to. Last season, heading into last season, it was like, this is Dillon's year. He's going to break out. Like, everyone was so excited about him, and he didn't really do that. So that's why I have him down at 37. That being said, there is still a role for him to play in that offense, and he is still 25 years old, 6 foot, 247 pound back, like
massive.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna pound the ball, and he's just not the guy everyone was hoping him to be, which is fine.
Yeah, he's gonna be free agent next year, so this is a contract year. This is just like what we were talking about. But I mean, the way I see it, he's not the number 2 running back. He's more like the 1B to Aaron Jones' 1A. Yeah. Like those two are going to be utilized heavily in this year, and hopefully they invest in him past next year. But if Jones misses time, AJ Dillon's going to be like a top 12 guy. He'll be a running back.
Injury upside, yeah,
huge injury upside. He just doesn't get the workload. Over the last 2 years, he's averaged a little over 180 carries. That's not enough for him to get going. Like, he's just like what's his name? Derrick Henry. He needs a lot of carries to punish the defense. And I think once we start seeing AJ Dillon get the workload, I think he should have around 250 carries this year. I don't know about what are you expecting him to have?
I don't know. I haven't actually thought about how many carries I would like to see him have, but I kind of disagree in that I disagree with something you said, and I agree with something you said. I agree that he needs a lot of carries to punish and wear down that defense to be effective. But I
Yeah.
don't think last year, I think he proved that he's not a highlight lead back, workhorse back, in that like he was offered a lot of carries and opportunity. That increase happened and he just didn't do a lot with it. That goes to show for me, like he's 250 pounds. He's not a lead back. He's a good complementary punishing piece, but I'd never like if you go and test free agency and try to become a lead back somewhere, it's not going to go well for you. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's a perfect complementary piece to change of pace, like kind of punishing running back to Aaron Jones. But I just hope he understands his role and, comes back and continues to play that role with Jones in that backfield. So, I don't know. That's my piece on Dillon.
Yeah, I mean, he was interviewed and said he has a new mentality coming into this year and how he wants to run, quote unquote, free. Okay. Not sure what that means, but
I don't either.
Hopefully it means good things for AJ Dillon. So moving on.
Then I have Damian Harris at 38, which is actually above what you have him at. And I'm sure some of that's going to be dynasty versus redraft there. But I still like Damian Harris. I think he's a good runner. And I think he understands his role more. Whereas he is a compliment. Let's say he's the AJ Dillon to James Cooks, to James Cooks as AJ Jones. I think that's a very good representation of how I feel about the two of them. So that's that's my thoughts there on Damian Harris. I think he understands his role and he's going to play it well. But yeah, I expect Cook to be that lead running back of that offense from production, snap count, everything we talked about earlier with James Cook. So I think it's a great complementary piece. That's why I'm at 38.
Yeah. I mean, I'm based on everything I've said about Damian Harris, I feel like I should be higher than you. But he signed a 1-year deal with the Bills. He's 26 years old, coming in at 5'11", 213 pounds. A thigh injury last year limited him to about 11 games. So, but in 2021, he had 15 touchdowns on 200 carries. To me, that just shows that he's going to be heavily utilized in the red zone for the Bills if they decide to run the ball and not have Josh Allen run it in. So Damian Harris could be in line for double-digit rushing touchdowns. And he's the biggest running back in the backfield, so he should see that short yardage, early down work. And I think he's going to excel in this Bills offense. I mean, the offense is elite. So,
potent, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's how we feel about him.
Yeah, they're going to score 30, 40 points. There's going to be a lot of that there for the running back. When they get in the red zone, Josh Allen punched in as a running back. We'll see what happens. I think they've proven last year, Singletary went out and did some of that work. Anyways, I don't think we need to really harp on him much longer. I think I would like to talk about Eli Mitchell, who I have as RB39. I think he's I'm gonna end up kicking him above Harris and Dillon right now as we're talking, because I am very high on Eli Mitchell. I know that I am. I think that he is the piece in the 49ers offense who they really like. Shanahan loves him, and he's going to be a great complementary piece to CMC, which is going to extend CMC's career. I talked about longevity previously with McCaffrey, and Eli Mitchell is a huge part of that. He's an awesome running back. Like when he gets his touches, talk about injury upside. If he ever is the guy in that backfield, he's going to exceed in that role. Whereas Dillon, I don't know if he does. In my mind, I think Mitchell is a great running back in a great he's just such a good secondary running back behind McCaffrey. I love him. I think he's got a bright future there.
I would go out of my way and say he's the best handcuff in fantasy football.
Completely agree.
Whenever he was spelling McCaffrey, when McCaffrey was out, Eli Mitchell was averaging 6.2 yards per carry. Like that is an elite yards per carry metrics. So, last year he dealt with injuries to both of his knees and a groin injury late in the season. So we'll see if he can stay healthy. That was the knock on him. But, I mean, he's got 2 years left on his rookie contract. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. He's a big body guy. And, like I said, he's the best handcuff in football right now.
Would you consider Rashad Penny a handcuff, or do you consider him a lead back?
I think he has standalone value, which I don't think Eli Mitchell has standalone value. I think if McCaffrey is fully healthy, I don't know if I would consider Eli Mitchell in my flex spot. But if Swift is fully healthy, I would definitely be considering Rashad Penny in my flex spot. So that's the way I feel about that.
All right. Let's go to commercial break. I want to get some water.
All right. We'll be right back.
Got my wallet.
All right.
A little draft guide piece for us?
I think so. If you didn't know about this already, but check this out. This is a very special time at Sports Ethos because we have officially launched our NFL draft guide for the 2023 fantasy season. It already has more than 60 pieces of content on it, including massive team breakdowns and rankings. And we're aiming to have more than 200 features before all is said and done. And right now, you can get this NFL Fantasy Pass for a ridiculous rate of just $4 per month. And you can find that at sportsethos.com.
Yeah. It's an exciting time at Sports Ethos. We're trying to really push the fantasy football division. We got a lot of bright minds working on it. So definitely go get the draft guide. Cheapest one on the market. Very thorough and some really bright minds there. So excited to be a part of it.
Yeah. Jumping back in, Mike, I want to talk about a few rookie running backs. I want to clump them all together and just kind of roll through them real quick. I have Chase Brown at 39. I have Tank Bigsby at 41 and Tajay Spears at 42. You have them all significantly lower, but not by much. But, Chase Brown for Cincinnati, he's intriguing to me just because of how good the Cincinnati offense is. And obviously the concern about Joe Mixon, does he take the pay cut? Does he not? Is he going to get suspended with this whole off the field stuff he's got going on? I could see a world where Chase Brown sees some opportunity this year, shows enough with his workload that actually has the team invest in him for the future. And he could, in my eyes, become the lead back on a high powered Cincinnati offense for years to come.
Yeah, what if he gets to Cincinnati and starts enjoying that Skyline chili, though?
Oh, my God, don't bring up Skyline. Skyline is the worst chili I have ever had in my life. That was brutal.
All right, so you're not worried about that?
No, I think Chase Brown's going to be really good.
Yeah, so I think he's a good running back. He's a good running back on an outstanding offense, and if he ends up – if Mixon we already discussed Mixon's age, which shocked me at 26. If he ends up, chasing money, which I could see him being that kind of guy, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And Chase Brown steps into that role. I mean, what a role, what an offense to step into. And you're not asked so much of you. You're really just like a change of pace, open the offense. I mean, show that you're a run threat so that Burrow can pass and get Chase the ball, Higgins the ball.
Yeah.
So incredible role to step into. And, I think I'll probably boost him up here. You said I was significantly lower. You're at 39. I'm at 46. Again, as we're talking through, I love that we're doing this because it helps me dial in my rankings. I'm going to go ahead and bump him to 3 ahead of Wilson, ahead of Algier, and ahead of Brian Robinson.
I love it.
And I could even see myself putting him above. I'm going to go ahead and move Roschon and Jamal Williams ahead of Damian Harris, and I could see myself moving Chase Brown ahead of Damian Harris. I love that role that he's stepping into.
Yeah. The biggest thing to me is that he's shown at Illinois that he can handle a workload. He had over 300 carries. He had 328 carries for 1,600 yards and 10 touchdowns, over 5.0 yards per carry. Like he's shown that he can handle that workload. So if he was the lead back, I think he's going to succeed with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So who you wanted to talk Tank as well?
Yeah, Tank and Tajay.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, Tank Bigsby's young. He's 21 years old, but he's big. He's 6 foot, 213 pounds. Played at Auburn for 3 seasons. Racked up almost 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 5.4 yards per carry. He also caught over 60 balls for right under 500 yards. So he was a 3rd-round draft pick. The knock on him is he's very average. He doesn't really stand out in any of the metrics, but I think he's going to see some opportunities this year in Jacksonville. We both think that the Jaguars are going to be really good this year. And, there's concerns about ETN in the pass game and whatnot. But, ETN is obviously the guy, and ETN is young himself. So I don't see a path for Tank to come in and really threaten Travis for work for many years. He's just going to be a backup, and he's going to be a handcuff to ETN, in my opinion.
Yeah, so Tank I have down at 55, which is, again, significantly lower.
Yeah.
As you talked about Tank Bigsby, I had an epiphany on what my NFL comparison is to him, and it's Alexander Madison.
Alexander Madison. Okay.
How I feel about Madison, nothing special. He'll get the yards that are given to him. He just wasn't, he's not you don't look at him and you're like, wow, that's a great running back. So, as you talked about the stability of ETN, that is Trevor Lawrence's guy. I talked about my theory on how when you bring in a rookie running back, bringing in one of his weapons that he's already had success in college with, and the comfort that brings to him, any anxieties are just, you feel better when you have your guy with you. So ETN's that guy. I think he's going to have a great season, and that offense is going to improve, and Lawrence is going to continue to work to be a top 5, top 3 type quarterback in the NFL. So I just don't see Tank being a part of that. Change of pace back, maybe gets a series here and there. He's just not going to do anything with it. He's more so going to give ETN some air and give the defense a little bit different of a look. But anyways, I don't need to talk about him anymore. Go into Tajay.
Yeah, I'll probably be moving Tank down a couple notches after our conversation there. But Tajay is someone who I'm pretty excited about. We talked about Derrick Henry. We don't think he's got many years left in him, and with the Titans, and I could see them kind of transitioning to Tajay Spears. 22 years old, 5'10", 200 pounds. He's a 3rd-round pick, runs a 4.5 40, pretty average in my opinion. Senior year at Tulane, he had almost 1,600 yards and 19 touchdowns. So he's a threat in the red zone.
Didn't he hurt too?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Wasn't there an injury involved with Spears?
I don't know about that. I mean, he had 229 carries, so there could be, but still with 229 carries,
injured late in the season, and that's what hurt his stock a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people are saying he didn't face the toughest defenses, but he did make defenders look foolish. He's standing out right now at minicamp. They're saying he's one of the most active and noticeable players on the field, and the offensive coordinator came out and said they plan on giving him as much work as he can handle. So it seems like they're gonna get him involved. I don't think it'll be a very significant role, but he's definitely going to see some opportunities.
Yeah, so I completely agree with you as being like the piece that comes in and takes a little bit of the weight off of Henry's shoulders. So he has no ACL in one of his knees. That was what I was referring to. So that's what kind of kicked him to the 3rd round. But talent is clearly there, and I think like he's proven that he's he's a running back that has a lot of talent. You can use him in a bunch of different looks. So yeah, I think the Titans were looking for a complementary piece, and Tajay seems to be a perfect fit. So I am high on him. And quite honestly, like Haskins getting arrested, he's not going to have really any petition in that backfield to be that complementary piece. So
I agree.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Great. Moving on. Let's see. After Tajay Spears, I got Brian Robinson at 43, Elijah Mitchell at 44, Damian Harris at 45, Tyler Algier at 46, and then someone I want to talk about at 47, Jerome Ford. Mike, are you excited about Jerome Ford this year?
Extremely. I think I'm honestly higher on him than you, and I'm gonna make that reflect in the rankings a little bit. I have him at 49. But quite honestly, like I'm gonna bump him up above Jeff Wilson, above probably Tyler Algier as well. So I'm gonna do a little rearranging here, but super excited for Ford. He's stepping into a hunt role and going to be the complementary piece to Chubb in an offense that has proven to be able to support two running backs. They're going to run them both. That's just what they've always done. I think that offense is another one that takes a huge step forward, and it's Ford's time to show what he can do.
Yeah, he is one of my sleeper candidates. He's a huge value in drafts right now. His last year in college, he had over 1,500 yards and 20 touchdowns, heavily involved. He's 5'10", 210 pounds. He's not a small guy. He's a pretty big guy, but the Browns have been known to use multiple running backs. So, it's not crazy to think that he's going to be heavily involved this year and for years to come with the Browns.
Yeah, totally agree. Someone that we passed by was Brian Robinson. We don't need to talk about him long, but let's just talk about him briefly. You heard me say earlier that he has an opportunity right now to be the guy. Redskins are giving him every opportunity to be the running back.
The Commanders.
And I just think, the Commanders. I just think that he's gonna fail and he's not gonna do well in the role. Talk about him. I already said my piece.
No, I think he's already did fail. I think last year is when they were featuring him.
But they're going to give it to him again. He's going to have every opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think he starts the season as their RB1 for sure.
I think Eric Bieniemy is going to come in and reevaluate this backfield.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
I don't think based on what we saw last year. I mean, if we saw him not look good, don't you think when Eric Bieniemy is going over the tape from last year, he's going to be like, why were we featuring this guy? Why is he getting all these carries?
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be reevaluating the backfield, and I don't think that he is nearly going to get as much work as he got last year. I mean, he was just lackluster. The guy was just blah. Like, I not a fan of Brian Robinson. I don't think he's going to do anything this year.
Yeah, I've already talked about how my dumb brain works and buckets people. Like, he is, again, a running back that's going to get what's given to him, but doesn't have the ability to really do much more than that. He was in an Alabama offense where you had everything given to you, so that's why there was success, but it's not that way in the NFL. So
yeah, and he's got someone behind him that we're probably going to talk about next episode, Chris Rodriguez.
Ooh, C-Rod, baby.
Huh? Little tidbit there, but yeah, we'll cover him next episode.
Let me talk about Samaje Perine because I am very high on him. He's almost like a slot, but he stepped in and played awesome at running back when Mixon went down. He's got an opportunity to be the lead back early in the season for the Broncos. There's value there. Long-term value, we'll find out. I think he's a good complementary piece. Certainly one to own this year. I think there's really good value there. So I'm a Perine guy. I got him at 47. That's my piece on Samaje.
Yeah, I think he's going to be heavily involved while Javonte is recovering from this injury. And depending on how he produces, he could carve out a role even when Javonte comes back, Yeah. But I think if he doesn't perform well while Javonte is recovering, when Javonte comes back, we're not going to see much of Samaje. But I completely understand where you're coming from, and I do. If I had to put my money on it, I would bet that he's going to produce pretty well.
Yeah. Have we talked Jamal Williams yet?
Briefly when we were talking about Alvin Kamara and Kendre Miller, but if you want to add anything.
I do. I have him at I have him at 40, and you have him all the way down at 48 or 48. So I just want to talk about that disparity a little bit. I see him. They paid him well. I was honestly surprised that they paid him the way that they did, but they obviously, feel that Kamara is. I think they feel that their division is up for grabs, and they need someone in that role early on to hedge Kamara's suspension risk. And he's going to have a role in the offense. He's going to be that Mark Ingram to Kamara type back. So I like him. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunity to build on what happened last year. So that's kind of why I had him up there in those like good secondary or complementary running back type tranche.
Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. But anyways, who else? So let's talk about Algier. We have him at 46. Had a great rookie season. I think he was another guy who was hyped up, like Pierce in training camp in the offseason and lived up to it, had a great season. But you're going to be the backup to Bijan. So what does your role look like long term other than whenever he needs a breather?
I mean, I would say he's a solid handcuff for the Bijan owners. If I had shares of Bijan, I'm looking to acquire Tyler Algier for some insurance later on. But he's likely not going to have a role to be considered an option with Bijan healthy. But I mean, he had an impressive rookie season, man. Over 1,000 yards on right around 200 carries. I think he had 4.93 yards per carry. So, I mean, that offense is good. So if Bijan has any injuries, I think Tyler Algier will be a target,
For sure. I think we hammered out a good chunk of running backs right there. And I think, we can wrap. As we talked about earlier, we're not going to go through and highlight every single one we got. We're going to kind of give you what sticks out to us in that bucket. I'm good if you are, Rye.
Absolutely. Just stay tuned. Next episode, we'll be covering the rest of these bottom barrel running backs in Dynasty football. So,
just quick highlights on their value, and where we can see what their ceiling is, and like you said, buckle up. You can find us at Kulz_sports,
at fantasy_trucker,
trucker, and then our Fantasy Roadshow, where we'll be posting all of our ranks at Fantasy Roadshow, as well as on the sportsethos.com website.
Yeah, and be sure to check out Sports Ethos. Absolutely.
That's fantastic.